Hello and welcome to the Jegzik podcast. I'm your host Riley, a former Jehovah's Witness who left the religion in 2019. And thank you for tuning into this special Halloween edition of the Jegzik podcast. And as you can tell, I'm joined by my co-host, Marcia.
Hi.
My wife, Mrs. Jegzik.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Thanks for joining. 2 weeks in a row that you've been on the podcast.
I know. This is really exciting. But
I'm honored.
Yeah, this is one of my I wouldn't say this season is my favorite, because obviously we know that Christmas is my favorite. But I do have an obsession over horror movies, and I had that ever since I was a kid. So I'm really excited to talk about this.
Thank you. Me too. I haven't had an obsession with horror movies since I was a kid, for obvious reasons. Yeah. But I am easing myself into them.
Yes.
Of late.
You're doing very good.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying them as well.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I did a marathon of, what's that movie called? The Omen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I did The Omen, parts 1, 2, and 3 back to back, all on the same evening.
And then recently we watched The Last Omen, right? Is that the latest one?
Yeah.
Which was really good.
It was really good.
I was really surprised, because movies like that, when they try to remake it and do it again, and the first and then after, but it was really good. It was actually one of my favorite horror movies that we watched in a while. Yeah. Surprisingly.
Yeah. And it was a prequel to the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
I think it really did a good job as a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it led into the original movies really well.
Yeah. I agree. You know what? Oh my gosh, I just had this brilliant idea, and there might already be something out there like that. If the Jehovah's Witnesses were right, but it's a horror movie. So say like there really is a devil, and he's like, you do something, and then the devil's like tricking you, and he's doing all these like horrible things throughout your life, and then you like wake up and it was all a dream.
Yeah.
But what a good horror movie. I bet that they'd pick that up and show that to the congregation.
Actually, I was saying to you and Mickey just the other day that movie series, The Purge.
Yeah.
Where everyone just commits crimes and the world is just like chaos and anarchy. That is exactly what the world would be like if the Jehovah's Witnesses were right about how worldly people actually are.
Yeah.
If worldly people were the way that Jehovah's Witnesses make them out to be, it would be like the Purge.
Yeah.
But obviously the world isn't like that.
Yeah.
Of course, you get bad people that do extremely bad things. But if it was to the degree that Jehovah's Witnesses say, the world would collapse. All law and order would just completely collapse. The world would not function under those circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's just one way to see how it's just such an exaggeration.
Yeah.
So, Halloween. As you know, Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Halloween.
Right.
They're against everything not everything supernatural, because they believe in God and his Holy Spirit powers. Which is basically just magic.
Yeah. Hold on, was that ever a question, like when they were like, you can't, do anything with supernatural stuff? And did you ever be like, well, God's technically supernatural?
I never ever saw it the same way.
Oh, okay.
I never saw it the same way. It was always something different, like the supernatural and magic and all of that. That was all evil. But what Jehovah does with his Holy Spirit, his powers are good, which makes it different.
Oh, okay.
That is the way I always thought of it. And I think that's the way most Jehovah's Witnesses think of it. They don't see Jehovah's powers as being magic. But really, there's no difference.
Right.
The only difference is the motives that you attribute to the person doing the magic.
Right. But supernatural, does that mean magic, though? Or does it just mean an element that is not?
It depends on context.
Yeah.
Really. It depends on the context in which you're using it.
Very true.
Yeah, but we were always warned against watching movies or reading books or listening to music that had anything to do with the supernatural.
Yeah. So when you were younger, what supernatural horror movie did you sneak to watch? Where you were like, oh, this is a bad idea, but I'm going to go ahead and do it and then ask Jehovah for forgiveness. Did you have those?
I didn't necessarily think about that beforehand.
Yeah.
As
So
I
you
was,
went into it like with
I
good
went,
intentions.
I went into it knowing that I shouldn't.
Okay.
And I always did feel guilty afterwards and ask for forgiveness afterwards. But my plan wasn't to watch it. My plan at the outset wasn't to watch it and then ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's just things that just happened.
Okay. So what movies were though?
Carrie, the original Carrie with Sissy Spacek.
Because that's telekinesis right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched like the first 10 minutes of Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually watched that at a friend's house. We were in the kitchen actually. And we were channel surfing. He had his back turned. I think he was getting some food from the fridge. And I just stumbled across Dracula and I just kept watching.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and saw what was on the screen and he screamed at me. He was like, what on earth do you think you're doing? You think you're smart. You're watching it here so that the demons will come to my house and then you can just go home.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's what he actually said.
Oh man. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, like I said, I didn't watch the whole thing. It was just like the first 10 minutes.
Have you watched the whole rest of it since then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Since then I have.
Okay.
What else was there? Nightmare on Elm Street.
Wait, you watched that as a Jehovah's Witness?
I did. Yeah.
No way.
Freddy Krueger. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
How old were you?
It's probably about 14.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Did it scare you back then?
No, actually, I was younger than that.
Really?
I was younger than that.
Yeah, because when it came out, we would have only been like, we would have been like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Maybe 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it scare you back then? Were you like, oh my goodness, someone's going to come in my dreams?
I don't remember being really scared by it.
Yeah.
I don't remember being scared by any of the horror movies that I watched, but I remember being scared of the consequences of watching them.
Right, right.
Not the actual movies themselves.
Right.
I guess you could technically classify this as a horror movie, although it's really a comedy. Gremlins.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that.
Yeah.
Found it absolutely hilarious. And I wasn't scared to go to bed
yeah.
after seeing it. I actually slept really well after watching that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are the only ones I can remember.
Yeah. When I was younger, the movie that scared me the most was Children of the Corn. And it, and looking back, I think that movies like that had some sort of like demon presence or something, or the devil really scared me. So Children of the Corn was a big one, but then, you watch it later and you're like, oh, that was, that was silly. Yeah. And then another one, this was probably like 15, 20 years ago almost, but The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That one really scared me again because it had to do with like demons and stuff.
Right.
I was well in like my late 20s, early 30s when that came out. So yeah, it with the ones that really scared me, a lot of those were like things that, oh my gosh, could this really happen? I guess Freddy Krueger, it could have really happened because especially when that came out, there was a lot going around. It was based on a true story because, but what they don't tell you is that it's based on a true story because people were dying in their dreams because of, I don't even remember what the whole thing was, but Wes Craven kind of took that and, made it into a thing. It was obviously there wasn't someone in their dreams like killing them, but people were having some sort of like, in their dreams and then they died. So
yeah. I think the ironic thing that I've come to realize since leaving the religion and waking up is that Jehovah's Witnesses are so against superstitions. They don't say bless you when someone sneezes because that's based on a superstition. They don't knock on wood. They don't fear black cats. They don't cheers. They don't do cheers. They don't avoid walking under ladders or anything like that because it's superstitious. But in actual fact, Jehovah's Witnesses are some of the most superstitious people you could ever meet in your life. But the things that they do that are superstitious, they don't view them that way.
Yeah.
Like I remember growing up and being repeatedly told to never buy anything secondhand.
Yeah.
Because there could be demons attached to it.
Right.
I don't know if that's so much of a thing now.
Yeah.
But I think for people of my generation, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
It was a huge deal. In fact, I remember once when I was about 14 or 15, I was already baptized and I was old enough to go to the meetings by myself. There was one occasion where my entire family was sick.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had gotten the illness first. I think it was like cold or a flu or something. I'd gotten it first, so I recovered first. So there was one evening when it was the book study group, when we still had book study groups, and I went by myself and everyone else was at home. And the elder who conducted the book study, he gave me a lift home after that. I loved getting lift homes from him because he was a delivery driver for a bakery and his van was always full to the brim of cakes.
Wow.
Filled to the brim with cakes
like your
all
dream.
The time. So he would always have cakes that he would give us, you know. So I loved driving in his van. But anyway, so he gave me a lift home. He goes, "Oh, how's the family?" I said, "Oh, everybody's sick." And he goes, "Everyone all at once?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, that's a shame." And then he started quizzing me, and he was like, "So has your family bought anything new recently?" And I was like, "No, what do you mean?" He goes, "You know, have you bought anything new, like new furniture or books or something, perhaps from a secondhand shop?"
Wow.
And he thought he was being so slick.
Right.
Asking these questions in such a covert kind of way. I saw him coming from a mile off. I knew exactly what it was he was thinking and what he was suggesting. He thought maybe we'd bought something that was demon possessed and it made everybody ill.
Yeah. Sounds like a paranormal investigator, like when they're like going in and you know, looking for ghosts or something, or like heaven forbid it actually be, you know, just that you caught it from somebody and then everybody got it at the same time.
Exactly.
I mean, there has to be some explanation, you know.
So because I knew exactly what it was that he was getting at, when I got home, I told my parents, and my dad was livid.
Really?
He was livid. He actually went and had a word with him about it.
Wow.
I wasn't party to that conversation, and I don't know what happened as a result, but my dad was not impressed.
Wow.
He was not impressed at all. Yeah, so that's just one example of how superstitious Jehovah's Witnesses are.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't buy things secondhand, but they buy secondhand cars. Yeah. Secondhand homes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't occur to them that those things could be demon possessed.
Yeah.
Or that
at home.
Especially at home.
Yeah.
Because they do believe in demons and spirits attaching themselves to things. Why could not a house be haunted?
Yeah, and that would be like your first thing. You would definitely think a house would be haunted over than a shirt you got at the, you know, charity shop. You know?
Exactly. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, and this fear of demons that they have is just so pervasive.
Yeah.
In so many areas of their life, and it occupies a lot of their thinking. And
that's how they instill it in you, like, you know, every bad thing that happens is because of a demon. Every this and this and this, or, you know, so I can imagine growing up that when something bad did happen, you would think it was a demon, or, you know, a demon, or like remember when we walked by that card reader lady, the psychic lady.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh, we should do that. And the look on your face, like you were still mentally in at the time. And the look on your face, like, and I remember joking around with you, and I was like, what, are you afraid the devil's going to come out and be like, ha, I got you? Because you're that indoctrinated that there's good, Jehovah, and bad, which is demons.
Yeah.
You know, and that just, there's no, like, I feel like there's no in between. If it's bad, it's demons. The worldly people are demons. Like, you know, it's all demon controlled. Yeah. So it's like it's a legit fear. Yeah. Legit fear for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I was thinking that.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely was.
Yeah.
And, you know, the horror movies that I'd watched as a kid, being attacked by demons after watching a movie like that was a real fear.
Yeah.
It was a real fear. One that admittedly I suspended while I was watching the movie.
Yeah.
But afterwards, you know, think that terrified me.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I remember watching it and I was, raised as a Baptist, Christian, but that was a fear for us too, but not, wasn't, we weren't taught that demons were bad in the way that you were taught demons were bad. We just thought that, oh, if you maybe say or do the wrong thing at some point, there might be a demon, or if you play with a Ouija board, there might be a demon come out of it, or if you hold a seance, or if a demon can possess somebody, but it was never to the, devil's out there walking in everybody else's demons. And yeah.
No, I remember being advised to be extremely careful about what I say out loud in terms of the problems that I have or the issues that I'm struggling with or the faults that I have.
Yeah.
Because the demons can hear that and they will use that against you.
Wow.
Yeah. I was always told that the only one who can read your mind is Jehovah. Demons can't read your mind, but they can hear your words and they can analyze your actions. So you've got to live your life in such a way as to not give them any clues as to what your weakness is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The biggest realization that's come to me. There are lots of anecdotal experiences of people who experience something negative, horrific, even traumatic, which they attribute to a demon attack or demon possession. And I don't doubt that those people experience something, right? But here's the thing. Demons only ever attack people who believe in them.
Right.
Only ever attack people who believe in them.
Yeah.
To me, that says a lot.
Yeah. Because I tell you about because I have sleep paralysis sometimes, right? Where I'm dreaming, but I'm awake.
Yeah.
But I can't move, and I can see everything that's around me, but I can't move.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, especially when I was younger, and even now I have them occasionally. But when I was younger, in my sleep paralysis, a demon would come in. And I couldn't see them, but I could literally feel them getting on the bed and like moving. And I would try to say the Lord's Prayer, but I couldn't move. I was just so terrified I couldn't move. Right. So, and then of course, I finally was able to move it and woke up or whatever, or not woke up because I was still like looking, where I was. And then more recently, when I start having those, it's really, really rare. Maybe once a year, every other year, I'll have my sleep paralysis and the demon's there. But at this point, because I don't believe in it like I did, I'm like, all right, then just fucking get in bed with me. And like, and I could still feel the presence, like getting in the bed's actually moving. And then it just like, I don't know, cuddles with me or something, like, but it's just like, at this point, I'm just like, oh, just get it over with, because it's just like, I don't put that there's still that fear of the sleep paralysis of not being able to move. Right. But there's not that fear of something bad's going to happen to me if I don't, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's just another example of what superstitions and even theistic religious beliefs come from.
Yeah.
It's just a way of explaining something that you don't necessarily understand right there and then.
Yeah.
So you just create a narrative to explain it.
Yeah. And do I actually think that there's a demon there getting? Of course not. But my brain, because of whatever PTSD I had growing up, that it triggers that. My mind doesn't register that until later, after I'm out of it, But yeah, I mean, in the moment, and I'm sure just like, even just living and waking, somebody who still does think those things, how no matter what happens, good or bad, even things they can't explain, they'll attribute to, a demon presence or, whatever you would call it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What would your reaction have been if, like, when we first met and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a Christmas freak, and we had a conversation about Christmas and all that. But what would your reaction do you think would have been if I was like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with Halloween? Like if you don't get into Halloween, we're going to dress up every year. And what would you have been like? Would you have thought like, oh, she's a demon?
I wouldn't have thought you were a demon, but it most likely would have been a deal breaker.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It would have been a deal breaker.
And after
probably.
seeing all this.
To be honest, I would love to see you in a sexy witch's outfit.
Yeah.
I think that would be really, would be really hot.
I can do
that. Yeah. So, what horror movies have I seen recently that I really enjoyed besides The Omen?
I think you've watched a couple without me that you enjoyed.
Yeah. Oh, The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. But
that was
you
good.
Watched that one.
Yeah, I watched that a couple of weeks ago. That was really good. I enjoyed that.
Mm. The Crazies.
Crazies?
With Josh Hummel? No, the other guy that looks like Josh Hummel. We just watched that last week, I think. Or maybe it was this week.
Crazies. What was it
about? The Crazies. He was a sheriff and people were like getting this disease. And it was him and his wife.
It was like a zombie apocalypse type movie. Yeah. That was all right.
Yeah.
That was all right. But I'm really looking forward to handing out sweets to trick-or-treaters.
Yeah. Do you think we'll have trick-or-treaters this year?
Oh, yeah. We had them last year. You weren't here.
Yeah. I was here last year. We didn't have any trick-or-treaters because I've been here a year and a half now. We didn't have any trick-or-treaters on Halloween last year.
Yeah, you were here last year. So I must be thinking of the year before.
You're thinking the year before, I think, yeah.
Wow, time really flies.
I know. Because we got a whole bunch of candy last year, but no one ever came.
Oh.
No.
But the year before, there were loads of kids.
Yeah.
And I was actually worried that I would miss them because I was actually out with a friend watching an American football game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching an NFL game at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
It was the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
And by the time I got home, I saw the kids trick-or-treating and I thought, oh, no, they must have already gone to our flat. So I raced to the door, raced upstairs, hoping that some would still come, and they did.
Aww.
So, but it was only a few kids.
Yeah.
I'd missed most of them. Yeah. So it was just like 3 kids knocked at the door. So I just gave them everything that I had.
Aww.
And you should have seen the faces on these kids. It was so worth it.
Aww.
Because I had enough candy for like 24 kids.
Right.
And these 3 or 4 kids got the whole lot.
Yeah.
You should have seen their faces.
I bet they were like, we're coming back here next week. But I feel like we don't have a lot of kids in the building anymore.
Yeah,
we have like one.
There's not a lot of kids in this area.
Yeah.
Not a lot at all.
Which is surprising because I feel like this is like a family area. But maybe it's not a family area in a sense that, I mean, it's a whole bunch of flats around here. So
Yeah. But that was really nice. And it gave me such a good feeling.
Oh, did you get a little emotional afterwards?
I did.
Yeah.
I did a little bit.
I figured you did.
Yeah.
But those are the things that you miss out on. It's just, remember we had this conversation about Christmas and I was really sad because, I told you I just love Christmas so much and you're going to celebrate that with me, right? And you're like, this is when we first, met. And you're like, I don't know. We don't really celebrate Christmas. And I was like, why? And you're like, because it has pagan ties or something. And I was like, well, why does it have to be a religious thing? Why can't you just look at Christmas as, you're with your friends and your family, with loved ones, you're enjoying their company. Why do you have to look at it as like, it's that, sort of holiday or it's that sort of celebration, and so to, go from that to, where you are now, where you just love Christmas and you're so embracing all these things. I'm sure missing out on so much of that, when you're younger, because even for me, like I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, but Halloween was exciting, going and getting candy and trick-or-treating with your friends and dressing up. And, you didn't get to experience any of that. So I can imagine how emotional it is just to see other kids happy and enjoying the things that you didn't get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you
Absolutely.
dressed up for Halloween at all since you've been out?
I haven't, but I would really like to.
Oh, we should, babe.
I would really like to.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But that first Christmas was really, really awkward.
yeah.
I was still mentally in, and
You were a
we.
sport though. You were a good sport.
Oh, thank
You
you.
were.
But by that time, I knew that we wanted to be together. We both were in a committed relationship, and I knew that would involve compromise.
Yeah.
So I was willing to participate to the degree that I was comfortable.
Yeah.
But there was a lot that I wasn't comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't wear a Santa hat. You, oh my gosh, the big one was like, oh, I'm going to get us all matching pajamas because that's our tradition every year is to wear matching pajamas. And you were like, I don't want anything with like Christmas specific. So I had to get like the most generic Christmas pajamas that had like snowflakes on them. They were like
snowflakes and penguins.
Yeah, they were like super generic just so it wasn't like overly Christmas. And yeah, I remember you went into a Christmas shop with me when we were traveling. I think it was somewhere around Connecticut. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's this shop dedicated to Christmas. And I was like in heaven and walking around. And you were just so uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, babe, here's a Santa hat. Put it on. You look so cute. And you're like, no, no. And I was getting so frustrated because I could tell you were not having a good time. I'm like, can you please just go sit in the car? Because I don't want this to ruin my experience. Yeah. And I didn't mean it in a mean way, but I could tell you were uncomfortable. And I just wanted to like enjoy everything and not feel the pressure, you know. So I was like, can you please just go sit in the car? Because this is not your bag and it's my bag and I want to enjoy this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. And I apologize.
No, it's okay. Yeah. I tried to be really understanding, just like you tried to be really understanding about, how I felt about it. So yeah, I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, I would love to be at the stage with Halloween as I currently am with Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm there mentally. I just don't think we've had the opportunity to really go full on into it.
Yeah, we haven't.
Like with parties and dressing up and costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier with Christmas to do that.
And it's a lot easier doing stuff like that in America because I don't feel like the UK doesn't really embrace the Halloween.
Difference between how they do Halloween in the US compared to how it's done in the UK is vast.
Yeah, very different. You don't see Halloween decorations out anywhere. You don't see, people will do there'll be like horror movie events and, things like that, which is, good, but it's nothing to the scale. Like we're not going to get invited to a Halloween party. Like, well, we talked about, doing our own, which I think would be fun.
But Halloween parties in the US is just a major thing.
Yeah. I've been to several.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's not like Halloween's my favorite, but yeah, it's just, and I think that's good for people, especially, people who used to be Jehovah's Witnesses, because you can kind of get out of your character and, be something different for the day. And
yeah, I would absolutely love to do that.
Yeah.
Who do you think I should go as if we ever went to a Halloween?
Well, I was picturing you in a really tight, policeman uniform.
That's just how you picture me on a day-to-day basis.
That's true. Those really tight ones with the blue sleeves and the hat. And...
I'm talking something more in line with the horror genre.
No, I know. Well, you said sexy witch earlier, so I have to. But we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about doing horror themed parties, because like The Lost Boys, that's one of our favorite movies.
Oh, I forgot to mention
you forgot The Lost Boys.
That's one that I saw when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah.
I loved it when I saw it as a kid. That was the only horror movie that I watched that I didn't feel guilty about watching.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Huh.
I saw it at a friend's house and I loved that movie so much. I can almost do the whole script.
Yeah, same.
I can almost recite the whole script from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's one of the many things we bonded over.
Yeah.
It's our love of The Lost Boys.
We're constantly doing quotes from that movie.
And playing the music.
Yeah.
And But yeah, I think it'd be fun to do like characters, like some kind of characters. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the Lost Boys would be a little bit harder, but it'd be fun to do like a vampire and vampiress,
Yeah.
costume or yeah, that'd be fun.
That will be fun.
We have to have a think on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just the other day I was on one of the XJW groups on Facebook and somebody asked a question. I'm probably not reciting or remembering this question 100% accurately, but it was something like, which character in a book does everyone think is the bad guy, but they're not actually the bad guy?
Yeah, yeah.
And I commented and said Satan. But honestly, that's why these things don't scare or bother my conscience anymore. Because Satan, demons, they're just characters in stories.
Yeah.
They're not real, So, I mean, Satan isn't a real person to have any kind of control or power or influence over me. He's a character in a book of stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not even the worst character.
Yeah, exactly.
In those stories. You
Yeah.
know? So that's why these things don't bother me anymore.
That's good. That's good. It's like I heard you having a conversation earlier about, if you don't have God in your life, then what is every day for? And you're like, I just want to live my life like good every day. Like I want to have a good life every day and live the best life and be the best human. And, and I think that should be the focus of religion, not scare tactics or, oh, there's this bad guy, Satan,
and if you don't do this and you don't do this and you don't do that,
yeah,
Satan's going to get you.
Yeah.
100%. Going off topic slightly, that's something that I really, really don't understand. One of the lines of reasoning that people who still hold a belief in God often say to people like me who don't believe in God anymore.
Yeah.
Say, well, if God isn't real, then what is the purpose of life? And that question just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that aren't predetermined that we still do and still enjoy and still find fulfillment in. I don't see why the same can't apply to your life in general.
Yeah.
Like when you're born, you don't have a predetermined career.
Yeah.
You don't have a predetermined spouse. You don't have predetermined hobbies. But that does not stop anyone from finding a career, finding a spouse, and engaging in different hobbies. We still do all of those things, even though they're not set beforehand.
Yeah.
So why can't we have the same outlook on life in general? Even if life doesn't have a purpose that's set by God beforehand, why should that stop us from creating it ourselves?
Yeah.
We do that with everything else.
Yeah.
I don't see it as an argument.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense as an argument to me.
Yeah. And I've heard you have that conversation, several times with people, even, my friends who have, are Christian and really religious and believe in God. And you say that same thing to them. It's always so respectful, and it's true. It's like, why is that the only thing making you a good person or do good things? Is that, you feel like you have to?
Yeah. Or is that the only thing that's making you feel like your life is worth it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never, ever heard anyone say, you mean to tell me that it wasn't destined that I was going to be a mechanic? Or I wasn't destined to be a mechanic, or I wasn't destined to be, I don't know, an air traffic controller.
Right.
What's the point then?
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say anything like that about their job or their partner.
Yeah.
These things aren't set, but half the fun is finding out those things and discovering those things and then doing them.
Yeah.
Why can't the same be done with your purpose in life?
Yeah, it's very true. Anyway, spooky stuff.
Yeah, sorry to go off topic a little bit. It's just something that, something I feel strongly about.
Yes.
So you've been watching horror movies practically every day this month.
Yes, I have been doing the 31 horror movies for 31 days challenge for Halloween, leading up to Halloween.
Mm.
Yeah, I've seen some really, really good movies. Yeah, hold on. Let me get my little review book.
So Marcia has this journal that she actually created and published herself.
Yeah.
You can actually buy it on Amazon.
Yes, it's a horror movie review journal and logbook. And yeah, I've been logging all my movies in here because I better use my book if I So I've seen some really horrible ones. Some I didn't finish because it was just so bad. But Oddity, I watched that one. That was the first one I watched, and that was really good. It's about these two twins, one of them psychic, and she basically is tasked with finding her dead sister's killer.
Okay.
I'm not giving anything away because it's right off the bat, her sister's dead. So
right.
But because she's psychic, she is trying to find out who really killed her sister.
Right.
Let's see.
There's another horror movie that I watched as a kid. Please continue.
Oh, yeah,
remind me to tell you afterwards.
Okay. I rewatched Ringu again. I've already seen that, but I had somebody that wanted me to make them a horror movie game based on Ringu, so I watched it again, and I just enjoyed that movie so much. It's just so brilliant. It's such a brilliant movie. So Ringu is the Japanese version of The Ring. It came out before The Ring, and then Americans got a hold of it and redid it, Americanized it. So the American version of The Ring came out after Ringu, but Ringu was the original version. Same plot, same theme, a little bit different than the American version, but yeah, it's fantastic, and it's all subtitled. So if you don't like that, probably it's not for you. But yeah, it was really good. We watched Day Shift with
Snoop Dogg and
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx, yeah.
That was good.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. It takes a second to kind of get into the cheesiness.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like horror per se.
It's comedy. You're not really supposed to take it seriously.
Yeah, it's comedy, but it was a lot of fun. It was so fun. I was really surprised because I went into it thinking like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was ridiculously fun.
Yeah. It's about a guy who's a vampire hunter, but his cover is that he's a pool cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he doubles as a pool cleaner, but he's actually a vampire hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
He uses his cover as a pool cleaner to get access to the houses where the vampires are living.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he kills them, and then he sells their teeth on like a stock market.
Yeah, to try to get money.
For vampire teeth.
Yeah. It was really funny. If you want like a laugh, I do that one. So I watched the original Speak No Evil. I know there's a new Speak No Evil out with what's his face? I can't remember, which is out in theaters right now. But the original one is in 2022. And I didn't know anything about what the movie was about. All I knew is that I wanted to see the new one that's in theaters right now. But then I was like, well, let me watch the old one. When I tell you, this is one of the best horror movie / thrillers I have ever seen. The 2022 one. I haven't seen the 2024 one yet. But it was so good. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. What you think is going to happen doesn't happen. What you don't think is going to happen happens. It was fantastic. It was really fantastic. And it wasn't, there isn't a lot of horror. It's not like gory horror, scary, but it's a thriller. It's a thriller. So I'm excited to see the 2024 version and see how it holds up to the 2022 version. Right. Because in my mind, it cannot get better than 2022 version, but that's just me.
Right.
I also watched Vampire, which was ridiculously stupid.
Okay.
If you like kind of drawn out, dark, what's going on, then maybe. It's not vampire like over the top vampires. It's like, kind of, are they vampires? What's happening? Yes, they are. Yeah, well, it was really strange. Um, House of the Devil. Um, that one was all right.
Sounds interesting.
I didn't mind that one. It was made in the 2000s, but it was set to where the whole cinema and everything was set to where it was like in the 80s.
Right.
And that was had a really cool feel. Yeah, it was different. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
I would watch it again. And then we talked about this one because you like this one too. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, that was such a.
This was my very first time watching it.
That's more sci-fi horror than supernatural horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the original.
I could not believe how much I loved it.
Yeah.
And there were so many good actors in it.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. It's
great
just
movie.
really, really good.
There's actually a remake of that starring Nicole Kidman.
Okay. Yeah,
and
that's what you're saying.
Jeffrey Wright.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good. It's worth a watch.
The remake?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not as good as the original, and it deviates a lot, but it's a decent movie.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us up to speed. I haven't documented some of my other ones, but
Right.
yeah, I definitely the Speak No Evil. I want to watch it again with you, but I almost want to have you watch the 2024 one first,
Right.
to see how it compares, because I've heard that if you don't watch the 2024 one first, then it takes away from what is the masterpiece of the 2022 one.
Right.
But yeah. So
Okay.
we'll see. And I know Mickey wants to see all the horror movies too. So
Yeah. So the film that I forgot,
yes,
that I've just remembered,
yes,
it's called Fear, and
going with Mark Wahlberg.
No,
Oh,
it stars this actress. I can't remember what her name is, but she was in the first Short Circuit movie.
Okay.
With Johnny Five. Remember that?
Yeah, remember
that movie.
Leah Thompson?
No, Leah Thompson's from Back to the Future.
Yeah, but who was in that?
She's cute. She has freckles and she has like curly dark brown hair.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Can't remember her name.
Ali Sheedy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
That's her. Yeah. So in this movie, she played a character who was not quite a psychic. She was a psychic.
Yeah.
She was a psychic and she was hunting a serial killer, right?
Okay, it sounds familiar.
She was hunting this serial killer using her psychic powers. But there was something really, really strange about him that she couldn't quite put her finger on or explain.
Mm-hmm.
She found out, I can't remember exactly how she found out. It was a long time.
Spoilers?
It's an old movie. Spoilers are okay.
He is, first of all, he is the king of spoilers. He will spoil a movie. Like, no, I mean, just forget it. So spoilers ahead if you want to watch the Ali Sheedy movie from whatever year. 1990. Fear. Spoilers ahead.
Okay, it's been 34 years. So I think...
If you haven't seen it by now.
Okay, so she found out that this serial killer is an empath.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And he is addicted to the feeling of fear that he gets from his victims.
Wow.
And that's why he kills people.
Wow.
So he's a serial killer who's sort of like a drug addict, and his drug is other people's fear.
Yeah.
But he knew that she was tracking him, and he knew that she was psychic as well.
Wow.
Somehow his powers gave him that knowledge.
Yeah.
But it was a really good movie.
It sounds good.
It is a good movie.
Sounds good. Oh, yeah. Another one we watched with Mickey recently was Black Phone.
Oh, yeah.
With
yeah.
Not Ewan McGregor, Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, yeah.
That one was really good. I really like that. It's getting a lot of hate, but I really like that. And I'm really excited for the part 2.
Yeah.
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 Or the sequel, not part 2, but the sequel of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying, all things spooky.
Yeah. We have a whole list. You, me, and Mickey have a whole list of horror movies. There has to be like over 50 on there by now that we're trying to check off.
Yeah.
As we go. Yeah. Quiet Place Day 1. I watched that recently when I was on the plane. Didn't really like it. Another one that I watched while I was on the plane was I Saw the TV Glow. Very interesting. I wouldn't rewatch it, but if you like that kind of Black Mirror type of stuff, which I do, I love. That's why I was a little disappointed by this one, but yeah, it's all right.
Mm.
But yeah, we have a whole list that we still have to get through,
Yeah.
and we just keep adding on to them.
Yeah.
Exorcist is next on our list,
Oh
though.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Have to
you
watch
haven't
that
seen that
classic.
one.
Yeah. Do you know how this makes me feel? Like exploring the whole horror genre and Halloween and all of
Like
that.
you're losing your virginity for the first time?
No. It's very liberating.
Yeah. Aw.
It's very liberating that
Yeah.
I can explore this area of life and the human experience without the fear.
And being judged, or
Yes.
yeah.
That was very restricting
Yeah.
beforehand.
Okay, so I have a question real quick that just came to my head. So when you would watch things like that, or you would feel guilty after, would you feel guilty because of the way Jehovah would see you, or would you feel guilty because you know that you might get found out, or that you were scared what people would think?
Oh no, I was guilty because of the way Jehovah would see.
So when you would do things you weren't necessarily supposed to, it was all how Jehovah would see you, not because if someone found out that you watched a movie, or someone found out you looked at a pair of titties in a book or something like that.
It was all about how I felt.
Okay.
Jehovah would
Which I'm
see.
sure is not the case for everybody, but
No, it probably
Yeah.
isn't. But also there was the added thing of demons afterwards.
oh yeah.
I was taught that watching horror movies or listening to supernatural stories or reading supernatural material, that was an avenue that the demons could use
Right.
to get to you.
So you already feared Jehovah.
Yeah.
So did you think because you were bad, Jehovah was going to sick the demons on you? Or did you feel that, oh, I watched this, Jehovah's mad. Oh, and I also have to worry about the demons who know that I watched the movie and they might come get me.
Yeah, the latter.
Okay.
The latter. Also, there's this idea that as long as you do everything Jehovah expects of you, you're within this wall of protection.
Okay.
But if you ever do anything to upset Jehovah, that wall of protection would fall down around you. You'd no longer
the
be
demons.
and then you'd be vulnerable to all of these things.
Yeah.
You would then be vulnerable to all of these things that you normally wouldn't have to worry about.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way it was presented to us, and that idea wasn't just limited to the supernatural and things to do with demons. It was just generally, that Jehovah had this protection around you, but that protection is only there in as much as you're doing what he wants.
Yeah.
That's the way, like in the Bible, the story of David and Bathsheba.
No.
Okay, so David was up on his roof, which is where he should not have been. He should have been with his troops out on the battlefield.
Okay.
So that was his first mistake. As it was taught to us, he neglected his royal duties. So he was up on his roof and he wasn't doing it intentionally, but he happened to catch sight of a woman who was bathing. And he found her so beautiful that he had her brought to his home.
Uh-oh.
And he had sex with her and she became pregnant. So when she told him that she was pregnant, in order to cover up what he had done, he had her husband transferred from the battlefield back home.
Oh no.
In the hopes that he would sleep with her and then think that the baby was his.
Right.
But this guy was such an upright and honorable man. He refused to sleep with his wife because he said, how can I come home and enjoy the pleasures of my wife when my brothers are out on the battlefield?
I've never heard this story.
Yeah. When my brothers are suffering out on the battlefield and dying, how can I come home and be comfortable and eat and drink and have sex with my wife?
Yeah.
Because that's not right. My conscience won't allow me to do it. So that plan didn't work. So plan B was to have him killed.
Oh, jeez.
So
I like how they go from one extreme to the next.
Yeah.
Like, well, just get him drunk. And,
So he was sent to the front line where in a position where anyone who was there was like almost guaranteed to be killed.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. He was killed. Yeah.
That's not very nice.
So as soon as he died, David married his wife so that he could cover up the pregnancy as being legitimate.
But why didn't they just tell people, oh, well, they had sex before he went back to the battlefield and it's his baby?
I don't know.
Oh, this is confusing.
I guess that would have been difficult to prove. But anyway, so that's what happened. So David had her husband killed, married his wife, and they tried to front like the baby was conceived after their marriage when really it was before.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So David obviously got found out because Jehovah sees everything. And Jehovah sent his prophet Nathan to David to tell him how bad he was and what a bad thing that he'd done. And David was like, I've sinned. I'm really, really sorry. I did this horrible, horrible, evil thing. And then Jehovah said to David through his prophet, Jehovah forgives you. You're not going to die as a result of your sin, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, Jehovah's going to let you choose your own punishment. And he gives him a choice between three things. I can't remember what all three of those things were, but one of the things is that the baby that he conceived with Bathsheba would die.
Yikes.
And David said that he can't choose, just let Jehovah choose. And Jehovah chose for the baby to die.
Oh, that's not very nice.
It's not very nice at all.
Oh.
Now, I know
But the baby is like, it's
innocent
sinless.
in all of this. Yeah. So the reason why I brought this up is because the way that I rationalized that story so as to not see Jehovah as being evil for killing an innocent baby was to say that, well, the three things that Jehovah gave him as options for his punishment, those things were going to happen anyway because Jehovah can see into the future, right? But Jehovah just withdrew his protection from David, allowing the things to happen that were naturally going to happen. So Jehovah saw into the future and saw that the baby was going to die anyway, but because of David's sin, Jehovah withdrew the protection. Whereas if Jehovah still kept his protection there, then the baby would have recovered or not gotten sick in the first place. But because he withdrew his protection, that's the mental gymnastics I did.
Right.
Just so that I wouldn't have to believe what was actually written.
Right.
That Jehovah killed David's baby.
Right. I mean, that's a good mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say because the baby was going to grow up to be one of the worst murderers. And yeah. Interesting. Okay.
So that was the general idea, that as a Jehovah's Witness and as a faithful Jehovah's Witness, you had this wall of protection around you. And if you ever did things to warrant Jehovah removing that, then you'd be vulnerable to all of these different dangers.
Yeah.
And some of those dangers will be things involving demons.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say makes sense, but it doesn't. I get what you're saying.
It makes sense.
It makes sense from you explaining it, not the
Yeah. There are a lot of things in JW land that make sense if JW beliefs and understanding of the world are actually real.
Yeah.
It would make sense within the confines of that narrative.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that can make sense if the knowledge you have is limited or inaccurate. And I think that's the way it is with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. And with a lot of people, really. I mean, you can rationalize anything to a fault to fit, whatever narrative you want. So, same thing that uber religious, people who, think that political opponents are the saviors from God or whatever, like they'll rationalize any bad thing that they do to make it fit into their narrative, to make it seem like they're not the crazy ones, or to make it sound like, no, I know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing, you had to do. You had to constantly like do the ring around the rosy in your head, trying to, make sure everything made sense so you could still, believe that what you believe for the whole, 40 years of your life was right.
Yeah.
Because the other end of that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Being wrong and your whole world turning upside down, that's terrifying.
Yeah. 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 You're absolutely right.
And, most people can't do that. Most people can't face that. And the ones that do, like you or any other XJWs or any other ex-religious, uber duper cult ex-religious, people, it's not something easy. And it's still, especially people that are still mentally in, it's frightening. It's frightening so much where, they don't have good outcomes when they leave.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I make no secret of the fact that I'm an atheist and I don't have a faith in God or the divine or anything supernatural. I have no faith in those things or belief in those things. But that doesn't mean that I think that faith is a bad thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
Everybody has faith in some things.
Yeah.
I have faith in some things, that aren't based in knowledge or facts.
Yeah.
Everybody does to some degree. I don't think faith is a bad thing. Faith is good for things like hope.
Yeah.
And hope is a good thing. Hope is necessary in a lot of areas of life, and I think faith naturally lends itself to that. And I think that is good. But at the same time, I want to live in a reality that's based on facts.
Yeah.
The way that I conduct my life on a day-to-day basis, I want that to be rooted in things that I know are real.
Yeah.
Not just things that I hope are true.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way I look at it is I'm a big person of energies. I definitely wouldn't say I'm an atheist, but I believe in energies and I believe that, anything is possible. But, so like when people have faith or people have hope, to me, that's putting a good energy into the world. That's putting, like a vision board, right? When people make vision boards, they put everything down. And when those things start coming true, it's because you manifested it in a way, not because there might have been a higher power looking out for you or whatever. It's all a vision board. It's all stuff you're supposed to manifest, right? To me, that's where the energy comes from. And so when people have faith or hope, and you said you don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, that's how I like to see those people who do put so much faith in, things that you or I might not believe anymore, that they are putting it out there to be a good person. They are putting it out there to do good things or do the right thing or, to put a good energy out there because of the faith they have in humanity or the faith they have in God or the, whatever it is. I still think that there's a lot of positives that come with people having faith or having the hope that they have.
Oh yeah, there are definitely a lot of positives. The reason why I brought that up is because remember you were saying about undoing your worldview and realizing that everything you thought and believed was false and a lie and all of that. There are some people who literally can't face that. But for me personally, I would easily, it's not even a choice for me. I definitely prefer to have a harsh truth than a comforting lie.
Yeah.
It's
well, especially because of your background too.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just, they're fine with that. Who was the philosopher who was just like, if you believe it and it's right, yay, you are getting something out of it. If you believe it and it's not right, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Pascal's wager.
Yeah, a lot of people are just fine with just believing that, and but it's whatever, like you were saying. Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but whatever you feel is as necessary to, help you move on or help you the comfort or help you disassociate mentally or whatever it is.
But for me, I think that the consequences of you being wrong or the consequences of the things that you have faith in not being true is not a good reason to keep believing in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, say, for instance, you're sick and you go to a doctor and they give you a diagnosis of cancer. The consequences of having cancer could mean you die.
Yeah.
But that's not a good reason to disbelieve the diagnosis.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't make sense to say, well, if I've got cancer, that means I could die. I don't want to die. I don't like the idea of dying. So therefore, I don't have cancer.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that with the things that they believe in. They say, well, if there's no God or if there's no heaven, then that means A, B, or C. I don't like those possibilities, so therefore I'm going to keep believing that there's God or keep believing that there's
exactly.
heaven.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, so
that was fun.
That was fun.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you for joining me. We should make this a more regular thing. I really enjoy our conversation.
I do too. I do too. I love hearing you talk about things. You are so knowledgeable and smart and wise, and I love hearing you, even when you're just telling me about random history fact, that you know about. I really find it interesting. So this is no different. I really find it interesting when I'm learning more things about your past and, how you grew up and your beliefs now. And yeah, I really appreciate you.
Oh, baby.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, babe.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. And that's it for another episode of the Jexit podcast. Really hope you enjoyed it, this special spooky Halloween edition.
Had to get one more in.
If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. And also please engage with it as well by giving us a like or a comment or a rating. That really helps to get the podcast in front of as many people as possible. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a great week.